first thing I want to talk about is we've been talking a lot about how we Israel has got to be very careful in how they conduct the war because of we need to maintain American support. My feeling is that actually what we have is American dependence, not support. At times it's support, and yes, there are many in Congress, and at times presidents can be supportive, but there's dependence there, and that's risky. And those that say changing strategy is more risky, not so sure. Can you talk with us about that? What is your view on the relationship between Israel and America, the support / dependence, and what do you think Israel needs to do moving forward?
Well, America can be a great ally, but in this war, the American, and it's important to sometimes say the American administration, this American government. There are many Americas, as I pointed out on the Pierce show there, the Morgan show. There's more than one America. This America, the America that's ruling America right now, is an Israel shrinker. I like that phrase better than calling it anti-Israel, because then people jump up and they're like, how could you say that? But I think it's very fair to say that the Biden administration is an Israel shrinker. It literally wants to shrink Israel. It wants to shrink Israel back out of Gaza. It wants to create a two-state solution. It wants to shrink Israel, and then it tells us no when we are destroying terrorists too much in their mind. And they want to limit our arms supply, and they're Israel shrinkers. They want Israel to maybe exist, but to be a shrunken version of it, to be a weak version of it. He's an Israel weakener, an Israel shrinker. And so that's plain bad. There are many Americans who are against that. I'll be going to a big conference this week to talk with Americans that are pro strong and big Israel and want the United States to be an ally of Israel, an ally in the sense of the word ally, not a master, not a puppeteer. So, with regarding to what you asked, whether Israel should be less dependent on America, listen, we are a post-Holocaust people. We should not be dependent on anybody overly too much. We should be diversified. If we need arms, they could be coming from other places as well. What comes an American administration doesn't like you, and what? Boom, they turn off the tap on things that you need. You can't have that. You can't have that. Moreover, this is the America that wants to just continuously shrink us. And let's be real, grow the jihad. This administration and the Obama administration, they gave billions of dollars to Iran, and doubtlessly that ended up funding the October 7th attacks. So, A, diversify. B, be more independent. Israel's got to be more independent. It's a strategic issue. We cannot allow ourselves.
Under their current military deal, do they have to only buy arms from America?
Basically, the $3 billion that comes from the United States mostly has to be used in the United States as well. So it's actually a way for American companies to get money. They also shut down a lot of our arms initiatives and arms sales because it competes with them, and they have the power to shut it down. But the worst part about this whole thing is that in this current conflict, there are American State Department and Pentagon men inside of the decision-making of this war. I know this from a good friend of mine who is a very high-ranking general, and he tells me, listen, we are constantly being stopped by the Americans from fighting in the ruthless manner that we have to in order to defeat this intractable enemy. And they are just stopping them from, cutting off electricity or attacking a hospital or going into Rafah. This was the very long push not to go into Rafah. Of course we have to go into Rafah. That's where the terrorists are. Hello? Yeah. So you have the Americans telling you, the American administration telling you don't do that. That is an impossible situation. We just cannot have that. And so, yeah, you better be more independent. You better be diversified. You better know how to say no. You better not let American State Department officials sit on the decision making of your war and to slow you down. This war has been prosecuted in too slow of a manner. The fact is, we should have probably gone into Rafah first. Make sure that the terrorists can't escape, that there's no more tunnels over there. That's the main tunnels anyway. They come from Egypt a lot of times, from Sinai. And the other aspect of it is that we should have, and here I'll kind of jump the gun and say, the way this war should have been fought is to turn off the water, the electricity, the food, the medicine, and the gas for the first 2 weeks. choke out the Hamas fighters in the tunnels, make them come out. You can't exist in those tunnels for more than 48 hours, if that much, without all
Did
the
they
ventilation and all the stuff.
did they not have stockpiles to last a long time in the tunnels?
So that's what I was saying to you. Stockpiles, yes. Ventilation, air, no. There's no air down there without fans. You turn off the juice, it's over. And you're probably going to lose some of your hostages, but they're going to come out and you're going to be able to fight them. And here's the thing, Ollie. What the Americans are doing right now by dropping aid and by creating this new pier, they're basically saying to us, you are now entering into an endless war. We're going to keep feeding the local population, and that means the local population will not put pressure on Hamas. Hamas is going to feel better. They're going to get most of that supplies and that food, and that means the fighters are going to be reinvigorated and are ready to fight us for much longer. Instead of saying, no, we got to fight this war all the way. We got to cut off supplies to everybody around there. And here's the part that folks on the political left never understand. You will save thousands of lives. You will save them. This way, you are condemning them to die because you are condemning this war to go on for much longer than it needs to be. Yeah. Israel can't stop this war. We have to fight these terrorists that want to destroy us. We could have fought them fast and hard. Instead, it's been 7 months that we've dragged on this war, and frankly, it's far from finished. And it looks like there's attacks in even the north of Gaza. Gaza is not that big. And yet now there's attacks in the north and there's attacks in the south. And bottom line is, if you wanted to crush them and finish it off, you would have saved thousands of civilian lives because the war would have been done quickly. Instead, it drags on and on. Now the Americans that were, seemingly in our favor at the beginning, although I don't believe that, are now, against us fighting this war aggressively. And there you go. It slowed down. It becomes a morass. It becomes a Vietnam. And then, and the bad guys declare victory, because the victory for the bad guys is that they survive. The victory for us would be if we took over that land again and we said, you attacked us from there. You started a war. You knew you were starting a war. That's how it goes. You kill 1,200 civilians. That's a war. You made a war. Now you lost land. That's the most basic principle of international law. You make an aggressive war. You lose land. It's gone. You're done.